Welcome, everyone, to LingnanSpeaks 2025. I'm very excited to be your host for this very special event. So, how is everyone feeling? I'm sure this room is very calm, but next door, they're on tenterhooks because one by one they'll be coming in to bring their performances to us in the next hour or so. Well, this is our inaugural English-speaking competition, so let's try to make it an event to remember. Today, at Lingnan Speaks, our Lingnan students will be able to speak up and speak loudly. Unlike in my class, where getting answers feels like pulling teeth. So, living within and beyond the 21st century is the theme of the competition this year. It's vague, abstract, and sounds like something a sci-fi writer has thought up. But hey, that means the students can take it in any way they want, and hopefully better than I can understand it at least. 10 students have been selected for their speeches today, and the top 5 will be coming to raid my wallet later because they can win up to $1,500, which, let's face it, is probably going straight towards bubble tea and instant noodles. Well, without much further ado, let's have a look at the rules. For today's competition, we have selected 10 students who did their auditions in the last week of February, and they prepared a 4-minute speech, which they're going to read for us again today, the same speech that they prepared for their audition. As we know, the topic I just mentioned, and they are not allowed to bring any notes in, so hopefully they have memorized their speech. They will be judged on 3 things: the content of their speech, their presentation skills, and also their pronunciation. And the top 5 scorers in the first round will be moving on to our second round, the improvised speech or the impromptu speech round. We have 5 impromptu speech topics that will be selected at random at the end of the first round, and they will get 20 minutes to prepare for their topic. The impromptu speeches are going to be judged on the same criteria as the first round, but the scores will be reset. So those who did well in the first round will need to start from scratch in the next round. Based on the scores in the impromptu speech round, they will be given the prizes, and we will rank them from the first one, who will get $1,500, and even the 5th one in the second round will be able to get a prize today. Those who do best in our performance today will be going on to hopefully represent our university at the China Daily 21st Century Cup, which is the national English-speaking competition. So, as it's our first speaking competition, we wanted to invite the best, excellent, and brightest minds the university has to offer. So, let's welcome our judges today, Mike, Sophie, and Daniel. Mike is a senior lecturer in our center, Sophie is a lecturer, and Daniel is an assistant lecturer, all within our center at Lingnan University. Okay. Judges, don't forget, you will have to ask our students questions at the end of their speeches. So bear that in mind. And with that in mind, let's have a look at the general plan for today's competition, which is on the screen now. Hopefully we can check in with you guys after 5 speeches and then come back to you again at the end of the first round before we announce the scores. And after that, we will have a short break because the students will be shaking in their boots because they need to prepare for the next round, right? And we aim to be done by around 5:30, maybe slightly earlier if all goes to plan. So I think my teacher talk time has reached its peak. So shall we welcome the first student today? Student number 1. Let's welcome her to the stage. No, she's not here yet, but let's welcome her anyway.
Before I start? And the topic today is living within and beyond the 21st century. But I'd like to start with a story dating back 2,500 years to the time when the great Chinese philosopher Confucius was only a homeless, jobless, and miserable young man. One day, Confucius was traveling through the state of Kuang on a journey to spread his wisdom. But the local people there mistook him for a notorious villain. Within minutes, he was surrounded by an angry crowd trying to kill him. All of his disciples panicked, but Confucius himself remained rather unflustered. He said, "Don't worry, old culture is now here with me, and I'm sure heaven intends this culture to be enjoyed by more people than just us. So I'm sure we'll get through it." Needless to say, in the end, they survived and lived on to pass down the knowledge. Now you might be wondering, how is this story relevant in the 21st century? Well, to me, what struck me the most was not so much Confucius' faith in culture as his belief in the free flow of information. It's as if Confucius thought it was his duty to spread valuable ideas to every nation and state under the sun. Fast forward 2,000 years. We modern Chinese people are still living in the culture created by Confucius, and I see his spirit of knowledge democracy shared by people around the world. In 2001, Wikipedia began its first edit, taking down the walls of academia to make esoteric knowledge accessible to ordinary people like me. Around the same time in New Delhi, a curious educator sunk a computer screen into the opening of a wall. Thus began the famous Hole in the Wall project. Around the same time, Narrator, Windows on-screen reader, went live. It demonstrates Microsoft's determination that no disability, neither blindness nor learning disorders, should stop one from getting the information he wants. All these happened at the very beginning of the 21st century. Now we are 25 years into this new era. With unprecedented amounts of information and also the availability of AI tools, our lives must have been better, right? No, not necessarily. Despite the abundance of information, we are still living in a world plagued by censorship, by tech monopoly, and by AI Cold War. We are still living in a world where data flow is either obstructed or manipulated to control, to profit, and to exploit. So my vision for the future is to build a digital utopia in which data flows freely, fairly, and for the benefit of all, in which information transcends culture, race, and geography. I believe the responsibility to create such a utopia rests with each of us. Thank you.
Thank you, student number 1. We'll now welcome a question from one of our judges.
Thank you for your very profound ideas. I'm quite impressed. And you have mentioned the importance of free digital flows and the spread of information and the significance of it among people and for our future. Then you have also emphasized how censorship may have limited such kind of free flows. Then do you have any idea about how we can limit the restrict of censorship while ensure the genuinity, the truth of the information?
I'm sorry, just to clarify. So your question is, how can we balance the
Yes.
impact of censorship and also the
Yes, as well as the limited like fake news things.
Oh, thank you for your question. I think it's a really difficult question. As students, there is not much we can do. What we can do is to cross-check our information and to be more open-minded. But as governments, I think they might be able to put in place regulations and laws that could both protect vulnerable people from being misled by misinformation, such as the misinformation, the wrong medical information that circulated during COVID-19, and also at the same time maintain a reasonable level of information transparency.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we're going to welcome our second speaker to the stage. Let's give it up for number 2.
The 21st century road has always been, The 21st century road is full of parallels and paradoxes. For instance, I'm here giving you the speech on the campus of the university where I'm pursuing my education, where I'm allowed to be seen and heard. But kilometers away from here, there's probably a girl, just like me. But she isn't allowed to go to school, as her community believes she should not be educated. She should not show her face, as it is seen as an act of disrespect. And what's even more striking, her voice should not be heard. What a world we live in. While most of us here have food and shelter in our homes, others struggle with homelessness and hunger. It is almost ironic how we have nearly infinite access to knowledge through the internet, but there are those of us who will never learn how to read or write. This road has always been a dichotomous place. The hunter and the hunted, the rich and the poor, the owner and the owned. When I think about all those instances where humanity has shown its worst side, it is easy to forget all we've accomplished so far. Wars still happen, but this is the century with the least amount of them in the history of humanity. Diseases still spread, but those amongst them who are the most deadly have now been eradicated by medical innovation. Yes, there is still suffering and inequality in this world, but we are fighting for a better tomorrow through humanitarian work by the Red Cross, Save the Children, UN peacekeepers, and so many more. This is only possible due to our collective effort, the decisions of thousands of individuals to help one another. Humanity's biggest hope is humanity itself. We are the ones responsible for changing the world around us. Even the smallest of actions can have the greatest impacts. Let's think about some of the prominent figures of the past centuries. Gandhi and his refusal to use violence as protests, Rosa Parks and her fight for equality to all, Mother Teresa and her care for those who were abandoned. What all these individuals have in common is their willingness to fight for what they believed was right. Their attitudes inspired their communities to follow in their footsteps and to reach out to one another. Our current interconnectedness, powered by the effects of globalization, allows us to reverberate messages with much more ease than before. More than 5 billion people use social media every day. Imagine what would happen if all of them got together and pursued one common goal, the betterment of humanity. Sounds almost impossible, but those of us who did not have a space to share their message can now reach millions with their call to action. The power is now in our hands to be the change we want to see in the world. Hunger, poverty, international conflict, global warming should not be our legacy to this world. As long as we are willing to learn from one another and strive for better world policies, we can strive as a humanity. That is how I can stand here today in solidarity to those girls who cannot use their voice. If we work together, we can all build a better future beyond the 21st century. Thank you.
Welcome a question from one of the judges.
Right. Thank you for your speech. So you just mentioned that technologies is able to maybe help the problem with humanity. So what about maybe in the future? What do you think?
Sorry, can
Do you think technologies is able to help with humanities or other aspects in the future?
I think so, because as I've mentioned before, a lot of the reasons why we don't have more wars or more diseases still spreading is because we've developed a lot of technologies to help with that. So I believe as long as we're fighting to have a good use of those technologies, so for example, we have AI, as long as we use it for good goals and to help one another and to create new solutions, technologies that could be very useful to build a better future. Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, student number 2. Very shortly, we will be welcoming student number 3. Is he there? Okay, let's welcome him to the stage.
It's 2025, and a quarter of the 21st century has already passed. What happened in the last 25 years? Well, the first thing that comes to mind is the development of technology. Smartphones, social media, AR, VR, and now AI. Everyone's talking about AI. The world is changing so fast, and people have to constantly learn the newest technologies, because if they don't, they get left behind. But I'm not saying that these technologies are bad. Take AI as an example. So many people are against AI because they're afraid it will take away their jobs. Well, washing machine was a revolutionary invention. People were afraid that would take away their jobs, which it did, but it made our lives so much easier. I mean, who could live without a washing machine in the 21st century? What I'm trying to say is, we need to adapt to this world. The world won't stop spinning just because they're against it. We need to learn the proper way of learning and the proper way of teaching. Yes, also teaching. Some people are so focused on the newest technologies that they can't see anything else. Some parents don't want to take the responsibility to educate the new generation. They just throw an iPad or a cell phone to their kids and keep them busy. I know a parent who asked the teacher if she could take a shower for their kid at a camping site because the 5th grade 10-year-old didn't know how to take a shower by itself. And then there's this kindergarten kid who didn't know how to turn the page of a paper book. And then there's this preschool kid who couldn't climb the stairs because the core wasn't trained enough. I mean, it's not easy living in this era. Or rather, it's not easy living in any era throughout history. The world is constantly changing. Our parents didn't know the proper way of teaching or learning, and neither did their parents. But we're here now, aren't we? So what we need to do is to inherit the great traits of our parents, make it our own, and then pass it down to the next generation. We act as a link. The past makes up the present, and the present decides the future. We can't choose when to be born, but we can choose how we live. So, how do we live? How should we live? Well, the answer lies within the deepest desires of all of humanity: to live a fruitful and purposeful life. How do we do that? We don't have to overthink it. Just don't disappoint our ancestors. Don't disappoint yourselves. And don't disappoint the next generation. So let's give our best, do everything we can for the better tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's have a question from one of our judges.
Okay, thank you very much for a very interesting talk. I was interested in the way that you were suggesting that AI is just one of a long string of technological developments.
Yes.
Of all of these technological developments, from the wheel to AI, what would you say are the really significant ones in the sweep of human history?
I think first is language, or rather words, because a long time ago, people thought that words is gonna ruin people's mind because people will just forget easily. They can't train their brains. But as a result, now we know that words, rather than ruining people's minds, they helped learn and educate people by I don't know how much easier. So like AI, like words, they're just something, a tool to help humanity grow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Student number 3. We have 2 more students before I check in on the judges and how they are feeling so far. So let's welcome student number 4 to the stage. Here she is. Okay, let's give her a round of applause.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. When I mention the words love, what's the first thing comes to your mind? I believe there may have different answers. Grandma says love's the sweetest stitch, a quiet vow, a tender niche. Mom says love's the morning meal, warmth that we can feel. I say love's the good night message, a gentle word that brings sweet slumber's passage. Love. It's a word that carries so much wit, doesn't it? For centuries, it has been the heartbeat of humanity, shaping our stories, songs, and even our civilizations. But as we live in the 21st century, surrounded by ever-changing technology and rapid innovation, I ask you this: has love itself changed? And more importantly, what can the past teach us about love today? Let's take a moment to imagine love in the past. Picture this: a young man writes a letter to the woman he loves, pouring his heart out with every stroke of a pen. He sends it off, knowing it could take weeks or even months for her to receive it. And when she finally does, she reads it over and over, treasuring every word, every punctuation mark. Now, compare that to today. A quick text: hey, I miss you. Delivered in seconds, read in seconds, forgotten in seconds. The patience, the longing, the anticipation of love from the past. Doesn't it feel like something we've lost? But don't get me wrong, the 21st century has brought its own kind of magic to love. Thanks to technology, we can connect with people across the globe. You can easily fall in love with someone in a different country without ever leaving your room. Dating apps, video calls, and social media have opened doors that once unimaginable. Love in this century is more inclusive, more accessible, and more diverse than ever before. The advancement of technology has given people content to express, tools to record, and platforms to share. The popularization of apps like TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook has allowed love in the 21st century to spread widely. Whether it's very romantic moments, heartwarming family interactions, or touching marriage proposals, this can now be recorded and shared with the whole world. Love, once a private emotion, has gradually become something that can be liked, published, and commented on. Living within and beyond the 21st century, the essence of love remains unchanged. Technology has only enriched its performance, giving more ways to celebrate it. As we move forward, let's cherish both of the lessons from the past and the opportunities of the present, remembering that love, in any form, is timeless. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now welcome one question from our judges.
Hi, thank you for your very emotional and expressive speech. Your main idea is about love, and especially the love in how it's look like in the person in the present. Nowadays, a lot of people on the internet, they say that they feel extremely lonely, even if they have the technology to connect them with other people. And a lot of people say, since I have technology, then I do not need love anymore. What's your opinion about this?
Well, I think, thanks for your question. It depends. For some people, I have a classmate and every night he chat with AI, in mainland called Dou Bao. There's a very beautiful woman and he has a nice voice and he chat with Dou Bao every night. And he thought that he was even fall in love with Dou Bao. But for some people who don't trust AI because they believe that AI is a fake thing, and the technology didn't bring anything to them, didn't bring any advancement to them. But from my point of view, I believe AI facilitate our daily life because I can use AI to connect with someone, or even when my boyfriend was asleep, I can talk with AI, and so I can talk to them because it can maybe model my boyfriend, and I can communicate a lot of things. Yes, so I think it depends. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Student number 4. Okay, let's welcome student number 5 to the stage.
Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here. My name is Chen Peipei. My speech topic, living within and beyond 21st century, why we must rethink aging. Imagine a world where adults refuse to grow up, where responsibility is seen as a burden, where life is reduced to immediate gratification and emotional validation. Keith Hayward, in his book, Infantilized, How Our Culture Killed Adulthood, describe a world where adults are encouraged to behave like children by social, economic, and technological factors. It's not a conspiracy, but a pattern, a set of forces that make people more willing to escape responsibility and less willing to shoulder responsibility. Well, one of the forces is advertising, which now sell the promise of stay young forever. Consider Evian advertising campaign, where adults look into mirrors only to see themselves as babies. The message, you are not just young at heart, you are a child. This isn't a coincidence. Corporations do not want sensible, financially cautious consumers. They want impulse buyers, people who believe in the fantasy of unlimited pleasure without consequences. That's why they sell freedom without responsibility. Cars are not about transportation. They're about usable rebellion. Beer isn't about socializing. It's about partying like an 18-year-old. Fashion is not about identity. It's about reliving adolescence forever. But here comes an uncomfortable question. If we are constantly being told to stay young, what happens to the value of maturity, resilience, and the delayed gratification? Our culture glorifies youth, yet dismisses what comes after, labeling anyone over 30 or 40 as past their prime. But is that really true? Let's consider real-world examples. Colonel Hart Sanders founded KFC in his 60s, building a global franchise from humble beginnings. Ren Zhengfei studied Huawei in his 40s, guiding it into a world-leading company. And Very Wang entered the fashion industry at 40, redefining bridal couture on a global scale. These stories and countless others show us that true innovation and progress often spring the experience and perspective gained over decades. Far from being over the hill, adults carry wisdom, stability, and leadership that our generation can lean on. So why treat age as an insult when it should be our guide? This is more than a shift in thought. It's a revolution where we value maturity, resilience, and the power of thoughtful long-term growth instead of chasing endless youth. Imagine a world where aging isn't feared but embraced, where growth, wisdom, and leadership are pillars we never replace, where we honor builders, the thinkers, and the one who paved the way for us. That's the world beyond 21st century we can strive for, a cultural value every stage of life, where youth is hopeful and maturity stands as sage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll now welcome a question from one of our judges.
Right. Thank you very much for your speech. So you just mentioned that nowadays many people are focusing on youth, right? Right. So do you think it is better to actually maybe strike a balance between youth and also maturity?
Well, thank you for your question. I think nowadays it's a great opportunity to combine youth and maturity. And because I know some examples in Europe and the US, and there are initiatives to extend working lives and leverage wisdom and to better handle problems. And in Japan, their policies are promoting intergenerational collaboration, which allow them to handle new challenges and even spur innovation. I think this trend highlights it's a time to embrace aging and collaborate with youth, which could make our world in a better place. Thank you.
Thank you.
Much. Okay, that's half of our performances for the first round. So we're going to crunch some numbers in the next few minutes. While we're doing that, let's check in on how our judges are feeling about the performances so far. So Mike, what do you think about the performances so far? Or are you just impressed that no one has fainted yet?
I'm actually very impressed, especially given the length of the walk between the door and the podium.
Yes.
The people are coming and giving in different styles and with different messages, but I've been overall very impressed with the standards so far.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that. So, Sophie, other than dramatic hand gestures and killer closing lines, what are you looking for when you're watching these speeches?
Their ideas and the content, of course, it will be the most, the part that interests me most. Actually, I'm always, of course, I will be influenced by their very expressive gestures and their presentation style. But deep down, I will be more interested in what they are really talking about, how they are going to support their ideas. Are they only talking about something superficial, general, or will they support their ideas with examples, something like this?
Okay. I think that makes a lot of sense, yes. And Daniel, have any students surprised you yet, or are you still secretly rooting for one of them to quote your favorite movie?
Well, I would say I'm really surprised by all of them because all of them are preparing for this competition really, really well. And I'm really surprised that most of them have different topics. They're discussing different things because I thought they're going to be maybe just talking about AI or something like that. So yeah, I'm quite impressed by them.
Yeah, definitely. There's a wide range of topics today, which is great. So are we going for a couple minutes break before student number 6 takes to the stage? So if we want to stretch our legs, please do. I certainly want to rest my voice for 2 minutes. So let's have a short break for a couple of minutes. 6 ready. Okay, I think we're ready to move on to students 6 to 10. So let's welcome student number 6 to the stage.
Since Edison lit up our world and steam engines changed everything, people have been predicting literature's death. And now there's AI, the latest threat that can spit out a poem in seconds. Game over for literature, isn't it? Wrong, dead wrong. I believe in two things with every fiber of my being: the raw power of literature and the simple fact that AI, for all its tricks, can't feel. We humans love stories. We change because stories move us, not because of dry data. When Dickens shows us Oliver Twist, a hungry kid forced into child labor, it hits us in the gut. Kids reading it feels their hearts break. Adults cannot but question their world. That's literature working its magic, speaking to both our hearts and minds. Also, literature preserves human stories, both grand and humble. In Jason M's No City for Slow Man, we meet a hawker dragging his cart through the pre-dawn darkness, selling roasted sweet potatoes to laborers at a bus stop. AI might know everything about commerce and trade, but it will never understand the desperation in the hawker's voice, the weight of his cart, and more importantly, the human warmth of those sweet potatoes on a cold morning. These are the stories that slip through AI's digital fingers, the messy, imperfect, beautiful lives that do not fit into neat algorithms. As we barrel toward a future where AI might handle most of our work, people are gonna feel lost, empty. And that's when we will need literature most. We don't need to go through Brave New World to see that technology is actually making us question what it means to be human. And that's where literature steps in, not with answers, but with better questions. Think of novels as sugar-coated pills of wisdom about society and what makes us human. In a world like this, of cold metal and binary code, it reminds us what it feels like to have a beating heart. Here's the beautiful irony. Technology isn't killing literature. It is making it more essential than ever. The more disconnected we feel, the more we need stories to help us find our way. So let's read like our souls depend on it, as Joyce put it. Let's leap into other skins, into other souls. Let's explore what it means to be humans through poetry and stories, especially nowadays when everything seems so uncertain. Because in the end, that's what literature does best. It reminds us what it feels like to be human in an increasingly inhuman world. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll now welcome one question from the judges.
Thank you for a very interesting talk. You're clearly very passionate about literature and AI. Do you think it's possible for AI to produce something that inspires emotion?
Thank you for your question. That's illuminating. And for sure, AI can do that, but whether it can do better than literature is something that can be debatable. And for me, literature is, in terms of producing emotional text, is way more better than AI, because actually literature can offer us a platform on which we can actually communicate with great minds and also the characters in the fictional world. And something very interesting about literature is that it even explores something that humans doesn't quite understand. For example, think of Peter Pan. This book explores the deepest desire about humans want to be a child forever. And deep down, all of us want to be cuddled, want to be loved by a lovely mother. And there's something that literature captures. And
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, that's the first time we've heard the bell. That means time is up for either the question or the end of the speech. So thank you very much to student number 6. Now let's welcome student 7 to the stage.
You guys remember a time when we used to play snake games on the Nokia phones? Or when rewinding cassette tapes using a pencil was considered to be an actual skill? Fast forward 25 years, we now have multi-screen gaming. We have Spotify instead of cassette tapes. We have VR goggles. The speed of change, it is breathtaking, but it also raises an interesting question. If we have come this far in just the first quarter of the century, what lies ahead? What will the world look like 100 years from now? Imagine this. It's the year 2125. A child sits in his history classroom, scrolling through digital archives. He's reading about us, the people of the 21st century, the choices we made, the challenges we face, and the world we left behind. Now, here's the real question. Will he admire our progress? Or will he shake his head at our mistakes? Ladies and gentlemen, we are standing here today at the turning point in history where we have everything at our hands, we have everything we need, and we are caught between two realities, living within the 21st century and preparing for what comes next. The decisions we make today will not only define our lives, but it will echo for generations to come. This century, our century, is a time of paradoxes. We're more connected than ever before, but we still feel more alone than ever. We have the technology to save lives, and we're still struggling with problems like poverty and diseases. We have access to a vast ocean of knowledge, and we're still struggling with misinformation spreading like wildfire. Take AI, for example, a tool that can write poetry, paint pictures, and even simulate human conversations, but also one that threatens millions of jobs. Or social media, a platform that promises to bring us together and still divides us with toxicity. And then there's climate change, a problem we have known about for decades, and we still continue to debate whether action is optional or urgent. This is the century we live in, one filled with progress and yet riddled with contradictions. So, when that child in 100 years' time looks at his surroundings, will he still see the contradictions left behind by us? If that is to not be true, we must take action today. We must make changes from today onwards. So, how do we do that? We are not just here to survive this century, we are here to shape what comes next. The future will belong to those who can adapt and transform. Technology will replace some jobs, but it will also create so many new ones. The climate will change, but it will also push us towards more sustainable solutions. The world is changing, but will we resist this change? Or will we accept it and embrace it? The beyond, it's not just about some new technology. It is about how we use it. AI should assist, not replace. Science should heal, not harm us. And technology should bring us together, not divide. You see, the future, it's not individualistic, it is collective. Think about all the problems we might face in 100 years' time. Space exploration, global health crises. These will not be problems of one single nation. These will be problems of the whole humanity. And so to move forward, we must move together. We must rewrite our stories to ensure that that child sees us as heroes of the past and not villains who destroyed his future. And so I say, living within the 21st century is our reality, but transforming what comes next, that will be our legacy. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now welcome a question from one of our judges.
Hi, thank you for your very interesting topic. I'm quite impressed. And based on your speech, I'm quite interested in one problem. You have mentioned that there are a lot of problems that has occurred centuries years ago, including that inequality, poverty, environmental problems. They're still there. They're still here, and we cannot, in the near future, we cannot see any change so far. And how can we use technology? How can we manipulate technology in a correct direction? Not for the materials and not for the guilty firm, but really to change the world for the in the correct direction to solve those problems. Do you have any practical ideas about it?
So I think when we think about using technology, we usually use it in our daily lives every single day, but mostly for the benefit of ourselves only. We must look around and perceive the common problems around ourselves first. For example, we can start small. For example, if I'm seeing that Lingnan's dorms are losing some of their plants, we have a beautiful garden right in front of our dorm. I can literally create a petition or a survey on WhatsApp that do you want more plants in your gardens? So this solves, say, global warming, but only a certain extent because we are planting more plants. I'm taking an initiative. And one person's action usually becomes the inspiration for someone else. So I think that is how we can use technology to take a small initiative.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much to student number 7. Now, I believe student 8 is waiting there, so let's welcome him to the stage.
Good to see you here. Hello, everyone. I would like to start my presentation with a definition of the topic we're going to discuss today, live within and beyond the 21st century. So when I saw the topic for the first time, I was like, what is live within and beyond? So I went to ask ChatGPT and it told me, focus on the present, also look into the future. The answer seems very easy to understand, but I was wondering, what is the present of the 21st century? So if there was in the beginning of the 2000, I think the answer will be the internet. If there was 15 years ago, I think the answer will be smartphone. If this right now, I think most of us will say generative artificial intelligence. So every new word seems like a very subversive and future-like technology to the last time point. And if I ask anyone right now, what is the future of the 21st century? I think no one can give me the exact answer or even get close to it because we can't even predict or imagine what's going to happen in the next 5 years. So my first point of view is that when it comes to technologies and lifestyles, it is very hard for us to look into the future or even live in the present if we were not able to accept and learn new perceptions every day, every second. So instead of live within and beyond the 21st century, I'd rather call it live within, also become the 21st century. Since we've been talking about become the 21st century, I don't think we can just say, try to do it, try to learn something. Some specific measures are needed. So in my opinion, the first step we can take is to acquire the latest information as soon as possible. I was lucky enough to get exposed to GPT when it just gets started to be commercially available. Well, my father asked me what is GAI weeks ago just because he saw it on Douyin because of DeepSeek shock. So in my opinion, the earlier you can get in touch with it, the earlier you can master it. And the second step is that you have to apply it in your daily lives and works. I've been using GAI for years to help my analyzing my thoughts, to help me writing my essays, and get the latest news, of course, including this competition. So the application helps you to better understand the latest features of the technologies. Also, it can improve the efficiency of your life and your works immediately. So that is basically 2 suggestions I can give to you to keep up with the 21st century. So lastly, I would like to turn back to how to live within 21st century. So my communication with my friends and families is much less than before since I've been talking to my screens. It is kind of a shame that There's tons of information you can get from the internet and GAI, but the love you can get is zero. So while we look into the future, I think it is very important for us to cherish the present and care of people around us. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're now going to welcome a question from one of our judges.
Right. Thank you for your speech. So I have a question for you because during your speech, you asked the audience what the future will be like. So I've also had the same question for you. What do you think the future will be like when, for example, using technology? Do you think will be a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, I think it's a very good question because I am an active stock trader in the US market. I've been focusing some technology stocks, just like autopilot, quantum computing, service, robotics. So in my opinion, in the next like 5 years, the quantum computing is it has the potential to be our future in the next 5 years, maybe. So next future of 21st century. Hey. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much to student number 8. Just have 2 more students before I check in on the judges again and we reveal the top 5 in this round. So let's welcome student number 9 to the stage.
Hi everyone, this is Casey. I'm a year 1 MPhil student. Like others in my generation, I proudly call myself a post-00. And like Jen said, this changer's time highlights that I was born in 2001, right at the start of the 21st century, but rest assured I'm not dancing on TikTok. Like others my age, I've ridden the wave of technological advancement, growing up with the internet, smartphones, and now AI. If I had been born earlier, I would have only used SMS instead of WhatsApp during high school and learned AI when I was working but not studying. So technology has become something that I love the most and proud of for this generation. However, no matter how many things I can do with my laptop, older people can never understand, just like my grandma. I visit my 90-year-old grandma every week, and she still asks what I do for a living. So I conduct a topic defense seminar for her weekly. But last time, I wanted to make things sound fun and simple. So I made a joke to her saying, your granddaughter hates reading and can't write well, but she's still making money by reading tremendously and writing up something that doesn't make sense, AKA my research. And all I need is just a lighting bulb, a laptop, and an invisible robot called ChatGPT. Surprisingly, she didn't ask follow-up questions, but shared her own story. She was working for the quantum government as a policy consultant decades ago when computers were not broadly available. She went on site to over 300 fishing villages all across the province to interview the local government and write an industrial report for the entire quantum fishing industry without any digital support. I didn't doubt her story. After all, seniors often record their early years with vivid details. But I was amazed by the scale of what she had accomplished without any digital support. Then she asked me, as a researcher, are you doing a similar thing? I smiled deep down, only with my notebook. That night, I reflect, with all these technologies, are we truly living beyond the 21st century? As a tech addict, my instant answer is, why not? We start mastering typing without writing. We don't stay in the office but can simply earn from home. We don't waste our time on repetitive tasks or even those critical now. AI is here with us. For those post-00 who have truly mastered technology and understand the rules of digital world, we are living beyond the 21st century, especially compared to those who resist change, distrust technology, and stick to the outdated work models. Yet, if we are that advanced, why do people still look down on us? Why is post-00 still a joke to the society? Allow me, as one of those, to humbly share my perspective here. With all those fruitful resources and overwhelming information, we don't have the old wisdom. Every post distracts our attention, every opportunity distracts us, and rapid AI advancement push us forward without time to build a foundation. I can produce a report, but only with the assistance of technology. We are living beyond the 21st century, but stuck in this era if we don't have our digital devices. We are just plants in a high-tech greenhouse, advanced but fragile. Therefore, to my fellow post-00, don't just stick in the 21st century. Stop scoring energy and think beyond the century. That's how we truly stand out in this era. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now welcome one question from our judges.
Okay, thank you for a very interesting presentation. How do you think the university of the 22nd century is going to look?
22nd, you mean?
Next century, after the 21st century.
Thank you for your question. And before that, we have to first understand how do our university look like right now. We are at a transformative stage that the university is shifting from the physical world, like the paper, to even the primary school is using the digital iPad, and our university is even moving forward to Web3 or even AI. How about next? What's Web4? Does anyone know here? No clues. But I think the answer could be think beyond, like in the digital world, like we are still staying in the campus and using our digital devices, even with AI. But like, is that compulsory? Is it compulsory to go to the campus, stay in the university? Probably we can just stay at home and we will finish our university at some stage without the use of campus, this physical space for us. That's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, student number 9. Okay. One more student, last but not least. Let's welcome student number 10 to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Have you ever thought about how a cup of tea could define a culture? Let me take you back to my first week at Lingnan. I was sitting in the common room with my French friend trying to explain yamcha, which means drinking tea with dim sum to her. She looked confused after a long time of explanation and said, in France, we just call it thé et croissant, which means tea and croissant. We both burst out laughing then, but that moment taught me language isn't just about words. It's about cultures, memories, and emotions behind them. Growing up in Guangdong, I spoke Cantonese at home and learned Mandarin in school. But in Hong Kong, I entered a world where English, Cantonese, and so many other languages coexist. My classmates come from France, Japan, and so on. Together, we're navigating a world where language isn't just a tool for communication, it's a bridge between cultures. Last semester, I worked on a group project with an Indian classmate. When she struggled to explain something in English, we turned to Google Translate. Then I realized that she was sharing a Hindi proverb and I got the wisdom from it. And that moment showed me sometimes language barriers aren't obstacles. They're opportunities for us to learn and connect. This is the world we're living in today, a world where cultures blend like flavors in a hot pot. In Hong Kong, French macarons sit next to traditional egg tarts, and bubble tea shops are as popular as espresso bars. These aren't just chants, they're symbols of how cultures influence each other. In my English literature classes, we study how language shapes stories and identities. In my English in the 20th century, literature often reflected a lot of national boundary, but the story today we tell are hybrid, blending influences from East to West. When I read stories that weaves together Eastern philosophy and Western storytelling, I realized that our narratives today are no longer confined by geography. But how do we navigate this cultural kaleidoscope? This is where technology steps in, not as the star of the show, but as an invisible thread that weaves our story together. Think about it, when my French friend and I were struggling to find the right word to describe yamcha, we turned to our phones, not just for translation, but to share the photos of dim sum baskets and Parisian cafes. Suddenly, language became more than just words. It became as a shared experience. Or considering my Indian classmate's Hindi proverb without Google Translate, we might have missed her insight entirely. See? Technology not only bridges the gaps, it also reminds us that every language carries unique wisdom waiting to be discovered. Imagine a child in 2125 is wearing a VR headset in the virtual library, reading poem written by a 21st century Hong Kong poets, first in Cantonese, then in English, then in a hybrid dialect from our global conversations. She doesn't just understand the words, she feels the struggles and hopes of our era. This is the future we're building, not just with technology, but with curiosity and empathy. Let's build bridges that stretch into our next century. Let's teach not just how to translate macaron into mooncake, but to carry the laughter we share when we taste both. Let's write stories that don't just reflect our own world, but become as time capsules for the world yet unborn. After all, our future isn't just about East meets West. It's about East, West, and everyone in between, sharing stories over a hot pot or a cheese fondue. Then, what's your first ingredient? Thank you.
Thank you. We're now going to welcome a question from one of our judges.
Thank you for your very expressive speech. It's very interesting. You have mentioned your entire speech is about how the cultural communication that has occurred actually in the past and in the present time and what will occur in the future. And my interest in this, how such kind of cultural communication that Hotboy have mentioned influence normal people in their daily lives.
Thank you for your question. So, you mean how the cultural difference influence our people's daily life, right?
How such kind of differences as you have mentioned, not that obvious for the present time, right? Is that we have increased communication with each other from different, although we're from different culture, from having different language, different cultural background. However, through such kind of communication, we know more about each other. Such kind of knowledge, how such kind of knowledge influence normal people in their daily lives?
Well, thank you for your question. So just like, first of all, just like what I have mentioned just now, at the first semester when I was in Lingnan, so I was talking with a foreign friend, and then she's from France, and then when we're talking with each other, she doesn't know what is dim sum. So dim sum is one of the very local food in Hong Kong. So in this way, we could share the photos of dim sum baskets and Parisian cafes, therefore make them to understand our culture and we could also understand their culture and their Parisian food as well. So I think this is why the exchange of culture can influence our normal people's life. We could share it with each other. Thank you.
Very much. Okay, thank you all participants in our first round. Let's check in with our judges while we do the last part of our number crunching. Sarah's got her spreadsheet ready, I'm sure. So let's start with Mike. Okay, Mike, could you give us your thoughts on the students' performances this afternoon? Has anyone managed to raise an eyebrow or two from your perspective?
Yeah, I was most impressed actually by the enthusiasm with which these people were speaking. They weren't just sort of just going through the motions of a well-rehearsed talk. They were clearly well-rehearsed, but at the same time they were showing enthusiasm, passion, and real sort of humanity. So I was really impressed.
Yeah, definitely. And Sophie, is there anything you think the students did well or could improve on, or anything you want to steal for your own speeches?
I'm truly impressed by the performance, as Michael had mentioned. It's obvious that all of them have very well prepared for such kind of speech, and I inspired by a lot of them, especially from the topic about the adulthood, how such kind of thing never changed, about the topic of love, about the cultural communication. Their topic actually really impressed me, and how they bring it out also very expressive.
Yeah, definitely. And Daniel, do you have anything to add, or have you just been nodding along to look like you're enjoying the speeches?
Yeah, I really enjoy their speeches. I'm really impressed that they have made use of so many skills instead of just like a presenter presenting their like an academic way. So I'm really impressed that they do make use different skills, like using their parallel ideas and using vary their tone for emphasis, etc.
Yeah, they have really worked on that very well in the last week or so. And I think our vets have been helping them out with their presentation skills. So definitely a shout out to them. Are our students ready to come back in? Yeah, okay. So thank you, judges, for your tips and suggestions. Let's now welcome the students back to the stage for our score announcement, which is going to happen in a very short moment. So can we have 5 students on the left and 5 students on my right? Maybe 1 to 5 can go that side and 6 to 10 can come this side. Okay, I look very underdressed now. So maybe this is a time for us to take a picture with all the students. And maybe the judges can stand in the middle. What do you think? Will we fit? Do we need to squeeze in? Great. Okay, thank you, judges. You can go back to your comfortable chairs while the rest of us stand here and wait for the results. So while our students are all back here, maybe you can give a little bit of support. Tell us what you have thought about the performances from all 10 of our candidates.
I mean, first of all, to say to all of you, well done. It's an incredibly difficult thing to stand with no notes and talk to a group of strangers. So I've been really impressed by everybody, and I just want to put that on the record.
Yeah, same as Mike. So I'm really impressed by all of you. You guys really did make use of so many different skills, sounding very persuasive throughout the entire speech, and I really like that.
Thank you. And actually, I really enjoy. At the beginning, I did not expect such good performance from all of you. Very well done. Thank you. And it's obvious that you have prepared so well. Use such different kind of presentation skills. Also, your content is super interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I second all of those thoughts. Actually, they've done a very good job. And all of you are winners for surviving my jokes. Okay, I have the top 5 in my hand here, the top 5 numbers who are going to do the second round. So in no particular, well, actually in numerical order, student number 3, number 4, number 5, number 7, and number 10 will be moving on to the next round. Congratulations. So for the other students, I ask you to take a seat for a moment. For the top 5 students, they should select their topics for the next round now. Okay, so if students 3, 4, 5, 7, and 10 stay on the stage, and the other students take a seat there for a moment. Thank you. Okay, behind me we have 5 impromptu speech topics. How should we decide? Maybe you leave it to yourselves to decide which topic you'd like, unless Sarah, you have some suggestions. Yeah, it's random. Okay, so on the table here we have 5 pieces of paper. Perhaps you guys can choose one to your liking. Not this one. Yeah, this one. They all look the same, and you won't know until you open it. But the students will have 20 minutes to prepare for this topic after we take a short break. And after that, we'll be bringing them back for the second round. So I believe that leaves us time for our break now. We're going to have around 25-minute break. So the students have 20 minutes to prepare for their topics. They also have time to go to the bathroom if they need to. Okay, so I'll see you again in about 25 or so minutes. So now it's time for the impromptu round, where our top 5 students will once again take to the stage to showcase their brilliance or their ability to wing it. They'll deliver an unprepared speech on a random topic, carefully selected from the mysterious vault of IELTS past papers where dreams go to die. In the last 20 minutes, the students have been through quite an emotional journey in that other room. They picked their topics, scribbled down frantic notes, whispered to themselves like eccentric poets, and probably questioned all their life choices. But now they've left their notes and possibly their will to live behind, because this round is completely note-free. And if that's not stressful enough, we've decided they'll sit here with us to listen to their competitors. Because let's face it, nothing says friendly competition like watching your peers knock it out of the park while you wait your turn. So I'm going to ask our students to choose the order they'll be presenting in now. On the table, we have 5 more pieces of paper. Please take one each. And please, can you announce your order to the judges so they can write down the... Number 5 is first. And who is second?
Number 2.
Number 7. Okay. Who will be the third presenter?
3.
Yeah, okay. Number 4. Who's the fourth one? Okay, number 10. And so number 3 will be our final presenter. Okay, number 5 will remain on the stage. The 4 of you, please take a seat over there. And number 5, you can stay here. Yeah. May he go to the bathroom? Sure. You give that one to me, and then we'll start your speech. Okay, thank you. Okay, you take this one. Okay, so number 5, the first speaker for this round, and her topic is paper straws and paper bags are not good alternatives to plastic ones. Do you agree or disagree? Take it away.
Good afternoon. It's great to be here again. Well, my topic is plastic paper straws and paper bags are better than plastic ones. In a rapid changing world where technology is advancing every minute, so a lot of people argue that it's a waste of time to invest money to manufacturing paper straws and paper bags, while others disagree. I think the fundamental issue in this discussion is the question, is it worth the trouble to make our world in a sustainable development? Well, some people argue that you could use the money and the resources that you invest in manufacturing papers and straws to use that into AI generation or business platforms, which could bring you a lot of money. So that's a total waste to have that kind of money to invest in paper version. But others say that if you do not spend enough money to produce paper one, then you cannot make our consumers more environmental friendly and more environment conscious. So let's return to our fundamental question: is it our world worth our trouble to make them sustainable development? I think the answer is yes. Well, for one thing, you may use a certain part of money and the resources to produce paper, but in the long term, you could bring a lot of positive effect for the phenomenon. Let's imagine that if climate change worsening or the pollution worsening, that's a world you want to live? I don't think so. Just like the author of Brief History of Intelligence, Max Bennett, describes, our human evolves with extraordinary advancements that we have a leap in what? We have a leap in neural cortex development, which means we make decisions for long-term benefit, not short ones. So let's make our decision on long term to protect our world into a more sustainable development. Let's treat our environment more friendly, and let's treat our world more heartily. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll welcome our next student. Okay, may I have your topic?
So my topic is.
Okay, yeah, sure. You could please share with the audience.
Are written words. Oh, sorry. So my topic is, are written words the most powerful form of communication? Do I agree or disagree? So to understand first, why does anyone communicate? To express our emotions, to express our thoughts, our ideas, be it through our words that we are speaking right now, or be it through text that you're putting on paper, or just tapping behind your keyboard. I feel that when it comes to everyday conversations, when it comes to actually trying to portray an idea, nothing surpasses spoken words. Because when it comes to speaking, you get to see who a person is in true fashion. You get to see what they're passionate about. You get to see their body language, the gestures they're making, the emphases they're putting on certain points. You get to see their feelings on the subject matter. I think it is easy to just type a message or inscribe something on paper, but it takes courage to even go up to one person and speak to them of something you're passionate about. I stand here today speaking to you on almost two topics. I've already spoken on two topics, right? So it takes courage for me to face all of you, look at all of your faces, and visualize your emotions, try to understand what is going through your head, and try to form a message so that I can convey it to you in a powerful manner. And that takes courage. Courage is hard to miss. Courage sticks with you, and courage is easily noticeable. And so the message that I'm trying to portray will stick with you. The message that I'm trying to communicate to you will stick with you. And so I believe when it comes to communicating your everyday thoughts, the basic random ideas, spoken words are far more superior than written words. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next student, number 4, will be taking to the stage now. This should be Rachel, right? Number 4? Yeah, this is the third, yeah, the third speaker will be speaker number 4. A bit confusing, I know. Okay, thank you. So, student number 4's topic is geography knowledge is useless in the 21st century. Do you agree or disagree? Take it away.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. When I first occurred this question, geography knowledge, useless in the 21st century. Wow, that's amazing, and I have no idea. What is geography knowledge? Is that what I learned before from my senior high school? And I don't think that is right. Let's take a moment to imagine. There was a man walked a long way in the forest. The forest are filled with fog. So, without doubt, he get lost. What will he do? Of course, he will put his phone from his back and he will searching for the gaps. There are many gaps. You know, there are Google Maps or Gaode Maps as we use nowadays. But What about in the ancient times? People don't have mobile phones. What will they do? They will just lying on the ground and do nothing? Of course not. They will die. So the Asian people say the moon. They identify the geography situation by looking at the moon or listening to the stream sounds or touching the ground's moisture. So the Asian people use those kind of methods to identify the geography situation. And this is kind of geography knowledge, right? Let's also take a moment to imagine. In the Western Han Dynasty, Silk Road is very famous, right? There was a famous ambassador. His name is Zhang Qian, and he went to Western countries and he brought China's tea or silk to Western countries. And in return, the Western country brought colored glaze or delicious grapes for the China. What they do? What they use? Of course, they use the geography knowledge. So I believe geography knowledge is very significant. As we all know that in the 21st century, the global warming is day and day important. So the government knows the global warming, and so they use their geography knowledge to identify what the problem is. So in my opinion, geography is very, very important in nowadays, and we cannot without the geography knowledge. Let's think by myself. When I'm a senior high student, I studied geography in my senior high school. I finished in my senior high school, and I learned geography. And geography is my favorite subject. What is to learn about? It's to learn about disasters. What is disasters? There are earthquakes, volcano eruptions, or even some tsunamis. Why we learn those kind of things? Why we learn geography? We want to prevent those disasters happen, or we want to, oh, that's all, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have 2 more students to deliver their speeches. Next up, we have number 10, right? Yes. Welcome back. Okay, student number 10's topic is junk food meals should cost more than healthy meals. Do you agree or disagree? So take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. So, what do you look forward to in your life? I still remember when I was a kid during the Spring Festival, going back to the hometown to spare quality time with my grandparents to eat some junk food is one of the happiest things for me in the world. And you know, as a Chinese kid, during the Spring Festival, we will always got some red pockets, and then we will have some money to buy those junk food. And as you guys know, junk foods are sometimes relatively cheaper than those healthy meals. So, but after eating so much junk food, I began to gain some weight and also have some health problems after that. So, as you can see, I definitely agree with the idea that junk food meals should cost more than healthy meals. So, first of all, I think that do you know what's the audience of the junk food? Definitely children, right? So, but have you noticed that a lot of children nowadays would get some very serious diseases at a very young age just because they eat so many junk food. So I believe that after those children do not have the ability to buy some junk food, they would become healthier than before. And second of all, I always believe that listening to our parents to eat some healthy meals at home could help students to build up their concept of what the healthy ingredients are. And I still remember when I was in Lingnan at the first day, I was so frustrated when seeing those students could cooked with so much fresh and ingredients meals in such a short time. And for me, I didn't know how to use a rice cooker even at that time. So I always think that cooking skills is also one of the basic fundamental skills that a lot of young people would lack. So I always believe that if junk food costs more than healthy food, it could definitely help a lot of people to cultivate this kind of healthy cooking skills in the future. So So when it comes to junk food meals and healthy meals and bad health and good health, then what's your option? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we will welcome our final student to the stage, student number 3. Okay, thank you. And student number 3's topic is the best time of our lives is when we reach over 60. Do you agree or disagree?
Well, cut to the chase, I disagree. But I can see why people might think that way. Over 60 is to be considered the old age, and that's the time when you retire and then you get to spend all your savings and do whatever you want. You get to relax and with less responsibility. But do you think you'll be able to do that when you get to that age? Like there's health conditions. When you're old, do you think you'll be able to adventure and do the things you really want to do? Like when people, if you ask people who are close to dying, they regret not the things they did, but the things they didn't. Going to the Mount Everest, top of Mount Everest, has been the bucket list for a lot of people. But do you think you'll be able to do that when you're old? I mean, probably, but it's going to be extremely difficult. And plus, the young has the power, has the energy to go out, take risks, try out, do the things they want. And if you just like live a boring life, your old age is also going to be boring. Like, I can't imagine myself if I really just live a normal, boring life, my old age is going to be fun. Because life is like building up. You build your habits, you build how you live. If I don't want to do my homework today, I wouldn't want to do it tomorrow. But does that mean I think the young age is the best time of our lives? No. I want you guys to be greedy. Make your entire life the best time of your lives. Make every stage, every second the best. When you get to make a choice, don't regret. And try to be better. Try to aim for the top. I know everyone is imperfect. There are sad times, of course, in life. Everyone does. But make the most useful out of it. Live a purposeful life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, our judges have a very difficult decision to make, I believe, because I couldn't tell which one was the best out of those 5 students, so I don't envy your position. Now, while we crunch the numbers, and before we reveal the winners, I would like to check in with our judges to see what's going on in their minds while they are listening to our speeches. So, Mike, maybe we can start with you. Could you share a few comments with our students?
Yeah, again, bearing in mind that they only got those topics minutes ago, very, very impressive. To Andrew, who said that 60 is old, as somebody who is in his mid-50s, I'd like to thank you for that. But yeah, really, really well done to everybody.
I can second that, yes. Okay, how about Daniel? Would you like to share anything with the finalists today?
Yeah, so I'm also very impressed by all of you guys because you guys just have maybe around 20 or so minutes to prepare the speech, and every single speech is very well structured. And you guys, some of you guys have used anecdotes, come up with story to sounding more persuasive. I think that is really impressive.
Yeah, definitely. And Sophie, any thoughts?
And like Micah, Daniel, yes, I'm also quite impressed by all of your performances. Super difficult for anyone to make such kind of high quality speech within such a short time preparation. So very well done. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and thank you, judges, as well, for your difficult decisions. Okay, before we reveal the winners, we're going to ask the 6th to 10th place students to collect their certificates, which I currently don't have. I don't know where they are, but I'll welcome them one by one and we'll have a photo of you collecting your certificates. Michelle has them, I believe. Okay, firstly, let's start with student number 1. Is here. And student number 2. Student number 6. Congratulations. And student number 8. Wants to see
We have a tie. I need all the judges. All of you guys, please.
Okay, congratulations. And student 9, student number 9, here, okay. Okay,
Nice.
okay, congratulations. So we have to sit tight a moment. It seems that we have a tie. So we are just working out what happens in this event. Okay, a very stressful moment for us all, but please bear with us a few moments. Yes, I got it. Okay, so I need to announce it with the microphone, I guess. So in 5th place, we have student number 5, Kyra. Congratulations. In 4th place, we have student number 10, Sherry. In 3rd place, we have student number 4, Rachel. And our top 2, okay. In 2nd place is student number, this is where we take a break. Student number 7, Sanjida. And so that means student number 3 is the winner. Congratulations, Andrew, and all our participants today. And thank you to the judges and our visiting English tutors. You've all done a lot of hard work for this event to be successful. So let's have a round of applause for everyone. And I just put my script together in a few minutes before this. So thank you anyway. So that concludes Lingnan Speaks 2025. Thank you all for coming, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.